So hi to everybody and thanks for joining us. And we've got the gorgeous Caggie Dunlop with us, who is absolutely lovely. And this week we're basically exploring ways to feel more resilient when we're feeling stressed, under pressure. Time is just feeling like it's slipping away. The world is sort of feeling like it's overburdening us. So looking at ways that we can build our own resilience. So using natural remedies, I'm sure Caggie's got some great tips to share because I know she's been running around like a crazy thing. I've got lots of my favourite natural remedies with me as well. So we're going to sort of talk all through that. We are recording the session as well, so we can't see anybody, but we just want to share it because we actually sold out of tickets, which is brilliant. So we want to share it with more people afterwards. We are recording the session as well. So I think it'd be quite nice to do a couple of intros, wouldn't it, Caggie?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And I'm Caggie Dunlop. I am the host of the Saturn Returns podcast, which is a podcast about spirituality and astrology, and it's all about finding calm and clarity during transitional times where there can be confusion and doubt. And I have worked with Neal's Yard in partnership for Saturn Returns, which is kind of a dream collaboration for me. And yeah, I think that's kind of
yeah. If you haven't listened to Caggie's podcast, it's really good. I listened to one at lunchtime actually today, which we were just talking about, and it was very, very honest, which was brilliant. It was very refreshing to hear. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Tipper. I've worked for Neal's Yard for I think 21 or 22 years. Anyway, I've lost track. I've done everything, worked in stores, managed the flagship store, been in training, and now I'm a brand ambassador. But I'm also a naturopathic herbalist. So I love doing stuff like this because it's just great to talk to people about well-being and hopefully helping some of you that aren't feeling great feel a little bit better as well. So yeah, so we are also going to be sort of just having a making session as well, aren't we, Caggie?
We're going to be having a making session, and obviously you are the expert on this and I'm the amateur, but as well, like if anyone has any questions or wants to share anything as they go along about essential oils or even about the podcast or anything like that, feel free to just chat away in the box and we'll kind of get back to you throughout the session.
So, Caggie, we've obviously caught up a couple of times. Every time I've spoken to you, you've been running around or, working hard with Sydney. So things must have been pretty crazy recently for you.
Yeah, things have been crazy. And on one hand, I'm really grateful because things are getting, more things are happening. And sometimes me and Sydney say like, actually, we get both quite stressed, but it's a good kind of stress because like things are kind of outgrowing us and it's becoming kind of unmanageable for just the two of us. But yeah, sometimes we get so caught up in, the busyness of things, and that can then make us stressed, and then we can get, a bit ill, like I probably am now. And then you kind of add all the like personal stuff that we have to navigate on top of that. And one thing that's definitely been, present for me, particularly today, that I've been thinking about is, post-pandemic, after that whole experience that we all went through, we all had our own personal issues to deal with, as well as like a collective one. So it was like a collective like grief that went on. And then like, I think we've kind of, and it's amazing that things have opened up again and things are normalizing, but I also think that people need to understand that we've been through a lot individually and collectively, and to kind of be gentle with yourself, because the impact of something like that on your mental health and like your whole sense of well-being can be quite knocked. And I kind of just want to acknowledge that, because that's something that's come up for me today, of just like, okay, we need to create the space, even though things are getting a lot busier, just to breathe and just to be present and to, unwind.
I think as well, it's about being kind to yourself as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
It's hard.
It is really hard, isn't it? But, you know, if something's being overwhelming, like, you know, I moved out of London 3 years ago, just before the pandemic. And now when I will have to go back to London, I get quite anxious about it because it's so busy and it's really quiet where I live now. And it's just understanding that we put ourselves into situations that we don't necessarily feel comfortable handling. When you step out of that, and then you step back in, or you're forced to step back in, it can be really challenging, can't it?
Well, being in a city feels like you're on sort of fight or flight all the time. And I actually, you know, similar to what you just said, my mum has a place in the Isle of Wight where we sometimes go, and I went there over the Easter period, and I was like, oh my God, I could actually sleep properly and relax and just fully just chill. And I haven't had, like, it's hard to find that kind of feeling in a city like London. So what we're going to be doing this evening is kind of like a beautiful demonstration of something that you can do to actually carve out that time for yourself, and something that makes you really present. Like, one of the podcasts that we've got coming up is all about crafts and like things that we can do to kind of make ourselves be more present, that are acts of mindfulness. So yeah, excited to do that today.
It's really true, isn't it? I mean, we can't make stress go away, but what we can do is we can manage the way we react to stress, and we can kind of build up our toolkit of resources so that we handle it better, or recover from it more quickly. Or like, you're fighting your like potential cold, you know, you build up this sort of like buffer so you don't actually, your body doesn't get so battered and beaten by stress. And that's really what we're talking about today. And I suppose what I really want to talk about today is how remedies work together, which we touched on yesterday, didn't we? Because often when people are feeling a certain way, they think, what can I take? And they might end up taking, if we're talking about stress, they might end up taking B vitamins. But often that's like one person in a team. So when you add in other team members, you become more successful. And it's the same thing with natural remedies. So today we're going to cover off quite a lot. And it may seem like a lot to those of you that are with us, but it's about choosing, as we talk about them, it's about choosing what resonates with you and what feels that it's right and works with your lifestyle as well, basically. So simplifying it down, or if you're like me, just do the whole lot.
Why not?
Exactly.
Where are we going to begin? Because I've got this gorgeous tea that I'm desperate to.
So I think that's a really good place to start. So I've got my tea as well. It's not in such a nice pot as yours, but basically I made Caggie you love flowers, don't you?
I do. Yeah. Love flowers.
Floweraholic. So I made Caggie a really lovely tea, which is based around flowers. So Caggie, if you want to you've got a teapot and everything there, haven't you?
Yeah.
So if you put 1 to 2 teaspoons of the blend in your pot. Now, this is a nice sort of top tip to start off with. I know you love tea as well. And your family love tea. I remember our conversation last time. But if you're new to herbal teas, and particularly loose leaf tea like this, try starting off with less, because they are a lot more potent than a tea bag. So because the herb is in its whole form, like here we've got some beautiful whole rosebuds, they just pack more of a punch because there's more herb present. So if you want to put 1 spoon or 2 spoons or pinches, whatever you're doing there.
Pinches, because I don't want to go up and go and get a spoon.
Teaspoon-sized pinch, eh?
I love loose leaf tea, but yeah, I'm like a tea obsessive. But because I gave up coffee, so I kind of redirected my energy towards tea.
Yeah.
And yeah, I met someone fascinating over lockdown actually that used to read my tea leaves. So sometimes I try and do that. Like,
amazing.
So maybe I'll do that depending on when you said that this being more like potent, what would that kind of impact have?
Well, if you think like, if you're making a tea bag, you're chopping herbs up. So anytime you chop anything up, you're losing sort of, not the freshness, but the potency of it a little bit. So whilst herb teas are brilliant, then I always try and buy loose leaf like this, because you get more flavor, you know, it's really fresh, You can customize it to your own personal tastes. So, you know, if you like it weaker or stronger or anything like that, or if you've got a specific concern. So if you were taking some teas for your cold, for instance, you might want to make it more strong than you would normally. So they're much nicer in that way. And it's a little bit like you were telling me about your dad and Earl Grey tea last time. Like your dad probably would just turn his nose up at a Earl Grey tea bag, wouldn't he?
He would, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So loose leaf tea is the same principle if you're buying regular tea. You know, a tea bag is often the sort of like the leftover bits. And so a whole leaf tea is much more real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So
someone just said they didn't know that Neal's Yard did tea.
Yes, oh my gosh. So this is why one of the reasons I joined Neal's Yard. So I originally started working in our flagship store in Covent Garden, and when I started we sold 180 different herbs, 179 actually, to be honest. And it was absolutely mind-boggling, Caggie, because we had 3 walls of herbs in old sweetie jars all round, well, 3 of the walls of the store. And you'd go in, people come in and ask you all these questions. It could be anything. And they would expect you to know the answer. So I wasn't a naturopath or a herbalist then. And at the beginning, I didn't think I was going to stay because people come in and ask you anything. And I was like, oh, God, this is completely overwhelming, the expectation. But slowly I learned about the herbs, and then Neal's Yard paid for me to go and study to be a naturopath and herbalist. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and now we don't have as many now, but I think there's still about 80 in Covent Garden. But yeah, you buy them, and it's so lovely because when Neal's Yard Remedies was first opened, we were given a load of sweetie jars, big ones like this. And the people, Romy, that started off, she was into upcycling. So they all washed out the sweetie jars and popped the herbs inside. And that's what we still use.
I love that.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? So you've got your tea, you're going to pour your water over the top, Caggie?
I've already put it in water.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, you're a step ahead of me. Fab. Okay, so while that's brewing, shall I tell you what's in there? Because you don't actually know, do you?
Well, it's got a little thing.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
It's very organised. She's labelled everything. She knows that if I'm left to my own devices, I'm a bit more chaotic. But yeah, it's got pink rosebuds, chamomile, lavender, lime flower.
Yeah. So not the fruit, and lemon balm. Yeah. So yeah. So I was trying to sort of, obviously these are really good herbs for when you're feeling under pressure. Did it just go everywhere then? So these are all really good herbs if you're feeling sort of under pressure, if you're feeling a little bit stressed. And this is pretty much my go-to herbal tea that I have throughout the day, and then sometimes in the evening as well. And I remember when I was studying herbs, a herbalist said to me that drinking flowers or using flowers is like the opposite to the sort of darker, more negative emotions. So when you drink flowers, it's like somebody coming along and rubbing out those sort of darker emotions and bringing in joy and love. So I think that sums up floral teas absolutely perfectly. But if you imagine, like if you're in your garden and you go out and you smell a rose, how does it make you feel, Caggie? Or even looking at a rose?
Happy.
Yeah, you can't help it, can you?
I actually went and bought myself some flowers. I didn't buy roses, I bought peonies, but I was feeling a little bit woe is me today. So yeah, I love buying flowers.
It's so nice, isn't it?
What is it about chamomile? Because I often try to find like it not in tea bags, because I feel it's so different when it's actually loose.
Yeah.
And has far more of an impact. But what is it about chamomile that actually is calming for you?
Yeah, so all herbs or all plants have basically chemicals in them, which we call plant chemicals or phytochemicals. And each herb has different chemistry, and that's what makes it work. So you can have herbs which seem the same. So chamomile is a really good example, because people tend to discount chamomile because it's so commonly found and think, oh, well, surely there's something better that I can use. But actually chamomile is a really, really good all-rounder, because it really helps to support you with so many things that you're affected by with stress. So, you know, I mean, what happens to, I mean, when I get stressed, it's my digestion that goes.
Everyone has like a different thing, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. What is it with you, Caggie?
I don't know, actually. I think I get run down.
Right. Yeah. So immunity. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my immune system.
Yeah. I mean, other people, it's going to be sleep, hormonal balance. You know, it can be, there's this massive list of things that are like a byproduct of stress. So what happens with things like chamomile and the other herbs that we're talking about now is they're addressing one thing, which is primarily helping you to wind down, but they're having a positive benefit on all those other things as well. So for instance, chamomile is quite bitter. So if you leave chamomile in a teapot to brew for too long and then you go and drink it, it can be really overpowering, can't it? In fact, yeah, that's a good prompt, isn't it? So yeah, so chamomile is a really, really good all-rounder for, you know, I mean, things like digestion. I mean, if we think about a story, I always try and link things with things that I remember. And for me, it's Peter Rabbit. You know, when Peter Rabbit went and munched on all those stolen vegetables, his mum gave him chamomile tea.
She did?
She did.
Why?
Why? To help his tummy, because he had tummy ache.
Oh.
So that's one. Yeah. Well, obviously, nobody ever read you Peter Rabbit when you were a kid.
They did, but I just don't really remember it.
Yeah. So what else have we got in there? We've got lemon balm. And this is often called the herbal hug. So when you smell lemon balm, it grows like a weed if you've got it in your garden. But when you crush its leaves, it's got this lovely sort of zesty, lemony fragrance. But when you have it as a tea, it has this lovely balancing effect. So if you're feeling low, it can help to lift you. And if you're feeling wired, it can help to calm you down. So it sort of regulates, which is really nice. It's actually a good one if you feel like you've got a cold coming as well. It can be useful in that way. Yeah, so it's a nice little blend. Then we've got roses. So roses epitomize love. You know, they epitomize femininity, they epitomize beauty as well, but they're also really good for women. So, you know, if you're feeling out of balance, out of sync, again, they have this lovely sort of balancing effect. So what else did we have in there? We had lime flower as well. So lime flower, the leaves, it's not the limes, the fruit, but it's a tree that you see growing in parks, and the leaves are shaped like a heart. And again, so the tree is telling us what it's good for. It's really good for supporting a feeling of peace and calmness. And then we've got lavender, which everybody knows about. What, most importantly, Caggie, what do you think of the taste?
I really like it. Like I said, I'm a big tea drinker, but I probably should drink more of this kind of tea than the tea that I drink.
What do you drink currently? Come on.
Well, I have like in the morning, I have a blend of like Assam and Earl Grey loose leaf, but then I mix that with a Yorkshire breakfast. Basically like not quite intense tea basically, but and that's the thing, if I have a tea out, I'm like, that does not cut it, because I have perfected my morning tea blend, but it's quite an aggressive kickstart to the day, whereas this is more of like, I should probably have this more in the afternoon and evening. But I really like the different things going on. It feels I don't know, it's quite a nice thing to do on like a moon ritual or something to have, or if you want it, like obviously I'm thinking from like the things we cover in the podcast, if you're wanting to like call something in, because this feels like it's got a lot of feminine energy.
It has, definitely.
Roses and stuff like that. So I love that as part of like, I don't know, an evening ritual if you're journaling or like call in love or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean that just hits the nail on the head for me, because there are so many different ways that you can use herbs. So we're obviously having a herb tea now. You can take them as tea bags. If you can't be bothered, you know, making a whole pot of tea, or you're out on the hoof, then we do tea bags, and they're really amazing organic tea bags. They're brilliant. And that's called quiet time tea. But you can also take them as tinctures as well, which is an alcohol extract, which is a bit more sort of like functional and, you know, it does what it does. But to me, I love herb teas because it's the whole ceremony, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you have to stop, don't you? You have to boil the kettle. You have to look at the herbs as you put them in the pot. And they're so pretty when you look at these. You know, you showed it.
So pretty. I like the idea as well of kind of blending it together based on like what you're feeling or what you're experiencing or what you want to call in. But people have if you don't know necessarily like how to blend things, is it okay to kind of freestyle and go off your intuition like it is with oil, or is it a bit more like you don't want to? Someone said, can you would it react with other herbs?
Yes, so
would some react to each other?
Yeah, so if you're only having an odd cup of tea, then generally you're fine. However, if you're taking prescription medications, then you should, if you're taking it for a therapeutic amount, check with your GP or your healthcare practitioner, same as anything else. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, then there are certain herbs that you can't drink. Pink rosebuds is one of them, but there are a few.
Really?
Yeah.
You're pregnant?
Yeah.
Why?
What they do is they stimulate contractions. So things like pink rosebuds you can use if you've got cramps and things like that, because they stimulate the area.
When you're on your period and stuff, they're good for that.
Yeah, exactly. So they can be beneficial then, but if you're pregnant, then they're not beneficial. So there are things that you do need to be careful of. And I guess...
What are other things? Because I feel like around, you know, something that I'm constantly trying to pay more attention to and to work with a little more is like working with, you know, the seasons of my cycle.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes I'm like have really bad cramps, I feel awful, and then sometimes like I don't even notice. So are there any like things that you can recommend of this stuff that would help for that?
Yeah, I think I'd probably go a little bit more simple than that, actually. And I would observe what you do differently on those months, or not even what you do, but what's affected you more differently. So have you been more excessively stressed the months that you had worse cramps? Has your diet been more sugar laden or caffeine laden or something like that? So really monitoring what's impacted you the month that your periods are particularly bad. Mm-hmm. And then likewise, look at the months where it's really good, because generally there are usually triggers for people, and they're generally different. We're not all cut from the same cloth, are we? So often it's about doing a little bit of detective work and seeing what it is for you. But if not, I would always say go and see a therapist. And there are some brilliant herbalists that specialize in women's health, nutritionists who will look at what you could be lacking in your diet or what you could add in to help with things like that as well. But yeah, starting off with the basics is always really good.
Also, I realized that I think we were supposed to say at the beginning, when we were supposed to say about the
surprise.
Yeah.
See, I told Jasmine I'd forget something.
Because I know we've been sharing lots of links. But before everyone goes buying their teas and everything, Neal's Yard have kindly created a very generous discount.
Yeah, I think I've been told to share the code at the end.
Okay, so we'll share the code at the end, just so you know.
Exactly, don't buy anything. Oh my God, I'm so bad.
No, don't be silly. I just suddenly was like, oh, I feel like we were supposed to say that at the beginning, but now you know.
Do you know, I always find it's starting things off is the worst, isn't it? It's the hardest. And once you're in your flow, it's fine. But it's always that first few minutes where you're just like...
You've got quite a lot to remember. There's like a lot going on, which we should probably...
Yeah, you got the easy side, didn't you?
I got the easy side of bargain, yeah. I mean, I know yours, please, but I also wanted to ask about the Flower Remedies.
Yeah, so that's where we're going to go next. So I was trying to get in your head, Caggie. So, I mean, that sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? But I was trying to picture your life and what would be really useful to you, and maybe something a little bit different that maybe you haven't tried before. And so when we chatted the first time, I mentioned Flower Remedies to you, and you said that weirdly your friend had left a whole load of them at your flat.
She has. So she came to stay when I was away and left her flower blends. And so I was trying them out. But I think my mum's always kind of used them on and off. And then actually my like earliest memory of Neal's Yard, and this is quite sweet actually, but my best friend when I was younger, like much younger, I sort of lived at her house most of the time, and her mum always had Neal's Yard everything, and she was very earthy and very spiritual, and that's kind of where I first discovered the brand and like all these things. And so I kind of always associate that with her and that part of my childhood, but it wasn't necessarily something that I knew or understood. It would just be something I'd experienced when I went there, and it seemed quite cool.
Yeah, and I think with all of these things, you can dip in and out as well. So like tea, so if you're particularly sort of having a stressful time, then it's good to have the same tea on a regular basis because it kind of builds up in your system. But the nice thing is with Flower Remedies is that you can dip in and out. And it depends, because they are literally made out of flowers and trees and growing things.
Brandy.
And brandy, yeah.
Don't forget, I was like, I'm pretty sure I remember when I was younger just being like, I'm talking about
remedies.
Hey, but yeah, it's definitely got water, brandy, flower essence of, I can't even pronounce that.
No, they're all in Latin. I did write them out. I did write them out earlier on because I was like, I'm not doing Latin names with you. So the whole concept with Flower Remedies is that they work on the emotions. So they're helping to harmonize how you feel. And I think we probably all know somebody who thinks themselves sick, or...
Oh my God, I feel like we all do.
Yes, sometimes we do, don't we? Or the opposite. Or sometimes we think, oh, I'm not being sick, I'm just going to get over it. And you do. Mm-hmm. So I suppose it's that idea that your mind has such a powerful influence over our physical body. And that's what Flower Remedies are helping to work on. So they are literally made from plants. And what they do is they take the plant material, they don't ever touch it, it's picked with the same plant, and they put it in water, usually in a glass or a crystal bowl, and it's mixed with water, and it's left in sunlight. And the sunlight and the plant and the water they mingle and merge. This is like magic, isn't it? The water absorbs the essence of the flower or the plant with the sunlight. And then when we take them, we get the benefits. But what's really exciting about this is that when they were developed, or still being developed, it was by people, in the case of ours, Edward Batch, looking at plants and recognizing their characteristics and how they could benefit us. So to give you an example, there's a tree called aspen, which is its leaves are always trembling. So always, even on a still day, its leaves are kind of doing this. And as a flower remedy, it's for a fear of unknown things. So you always have this little bit of dread.
Wait, so as in you take it for...
Yeah, exactly. So if you just have this sort of unsettling feeling that something is going to happen that's not good, then aspen would be a really good remedy to help you feel more at peace.
But if the tree's always shaking, is the tree not scared too?
Well, this is what I do. Well, who knows? Maybe this is a new podcast.
I mean, I get quite fascinated with trees sometimes.
I know, but even it's really interesting. I had to write it down because the Latin name of aspen is Populus tremula. So even its Latin name is all about the tremors, which is it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I picked out two for you, and I picked out Unwind, which kind of says what it does on the tin. But it's a group of flower remedies working together. And in fact, one of them is, let me just check this. Wait a minute.
Aspen's in here.
Aspen's in there, yeah, exactly. So this is really good for somebody who is always on the go and maybe finds it difficult to stop, switch off, relax, wind down. Mm-hmm. Or is having problems going to sleep. Like maybe they feel restless, like they're still doing stuff in their sleep. Maybe their dreams reflect that. Maybe they're not sort of quiet, calm dreams. They're quite aggravated. So that's a really nice remedy for that kind of situation or person. Whereas SOS, I love this one. This is usually in my bag.
I feel like this is like very similar to, I mean, if Saturn Returns created a product, it should be this one.
Exactly. When you were telling me about Sydney earlier on, I was thinking this is like a Sydney remedy as well, you know, excessively tidying the flat, you know, maybe you could give her some unwind and she could stop. But SOS is for those moments where you feel like a level 10 red alert. Mm-hmm. So things have become too much. It could be just emails pinging through. I know. Should we have some?
I actually do want some. And do you just put it under your tongue?
Yeah. So with these, it's 4 drops, either under the tongue or in water or a drink. Strong, isn't it? Mm. It's quite nice brandy, actually. Mm. So yeah, so SOS is like your level 10 when things are just too much and you feel that, you know, it could be anything. It could be notifications on your phone, sirens going past your house, that you've had some bad news, whatever it is, you've reached that level 10, and you can have SOS every 5 minutes or so until you feel that you're reaching a level where you can cope. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's usually in my bag, because you never know when these moments are going to hit. So it's quite a nice one to just sort of have there as a backup, plan B.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah. So again, nice thing is with flower remedies is everybody can use them. So when you were asking about the herbs, you said, are there any times where you can't have them? And there were, but with flower remedies, they're actually really, really safe. So you can use them during pregnancy and things like that. And
even with the brandy.
Even with the brand, I mean, that's personal taste. But this is where it gets more esoteric. So this is definitely podcast material, isn't it? So you don't even need to put the flower remedies in your mouth. You can put them on your skin.
Oh, wow.
So as long as they come into contact with your aura, they will still have a benefit.
I love that.
So yeah, so you can put them in your product. So you know that we made that, was it bath oil last time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You could put some unwind, for instance, in your bath oil, and that would help you to wind down in the evening.
Amazing.
Switch off to let the day go. So they go on the skin as the alcohol still absorbed by the body. I mean, it's a minuscule amount. So I put 2 drops on, but you didn't need to. You could put 1, or you could buffer it in a cream or a salve or something like that. So it doesn't matter how you do it, or you could put it in a spritzer. So as long as it sort of comes into contact. So can you use flower remedies and essential oils together, or would you choose one or the other? No. So you can use both together. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, things working synergistically together. So flower remedies and essential oils are really lovely because the flower remedies are working on harmonizing the emotions, and often essential oils are helping to change how you feel or work with how you feel. So like a lot of you were saying, you felt really low energy. You could put maybe some rosemary and some peppermint on your diffuser. And then there's another flower remedy called Revitalize. So you could have those 2 together, and that would help you to feel more like you've got your va va vroom back. Sorry, there's a few questions come through, Caggie. So brandy is basically to preserve and to hold the flower remedies, because they're just made in water. They would obviously go off, they'd go bad. So the brandy is there, they're diluted into the brandy, and that's what keeps them preserved. So yeah. How many drops of flower essences would you put in a bath? It doesn't matter, actually. So people who develop things have their own personal preferences. So I would just put 4 drops of the flower remedy again in your bath, and it will have the same benefit because it's vibrational or energetic. It works in the same way. Good questions, hey?
Great questions.
Good questions, yeah. So we've looked at flower remedies, and I think why I thought about those for you is that they could just go in your bag. you know. So when you are doing loads of different things and you feel it's all become a bit overwhelming, it's just something that you can either pop in your water bottle or a cup of tea, and it would just give you that moment of calm, which is nice. So should we talk supplements?
Yes.
So I only gave you one because I was trying to keep, I'm really bad, Caggie, because I always get really carried away because I want everybody to know everything, and it's impossible, isn't it? So I was trying to keep this like a capsule wardrobe.
No, you've done that well.
Oh, thank you. So I chose one supplement here, and I went for a vitamin B complex. Mostly because this is where I turn to when I'm feeling really stressed. This is where I turn, and I don't know, I mean, my signs of being overwhelmed are that I find myself sat or stood in the room, almost stuck, because I don't know which way to go and what to start first. So B vitamins, I think of like my PA. So they help me to feel more energized. And different B vitamins do different things, but they also help with my focus and concentration so that I feel like I'm not trying to do everything at the same time. And I just know, okay, this is the priority. That's what I'm going to do first. And then I'm going to move on to that.
Yeah, I really struggle with that. Really.
Yeah.
But this will help me from procrastinating.
It's worth giving it a go, Caggie.
Because yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh my god, I'm trying to do like 8 different things simultaneously.
Yeah, and then it's like you kind of freeze, don't you? It's like the computer when you're trying to do too many things on your computer, and it basically stops.
What is the benefit of having spirulina with it? Because it's mixed with spirulina.
Yeah, so when we're talking about supplements, it's really good to go for a brand which is a good quality brand. And the things, so a supplement is basically, I mean, we sell capsules, and the other brand that we sell, Viridian, they also only do capsules. And basically, when you have a supplement, there's lots of other stuff in there as well. And that can be good stuff like spirulina, or not so good stuff, basically to bulk it out.
Right.
So we use things like spirulina, and I think it's things like carrot powder and stuff like that from memory. My eyesight's pretty bad, actually. Need more B vitamins. But we use things like spirulina and alfalfa and things like that to pack out, to bulk up the capsule.
Yeah, because sometimes it does put me off supplements and stuff, because I just am like, I don't know what I'm actually taking. But I think I've said to you before, like I have noticed that I have been struggling with fatigue quite a lot recently.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably got a lot to do with my diet and the fact that I don't usually take supplements. And sometimes it can get really, really bad because, you know, my diet's pretty much vegetarian.
Yeah.
And so, you know, not having B12 and stuff like that can make me feel quite depleted.
I mean, I suppose this is where it comes to, you know, back to being gentle on yourself as well, because you had COVID, didn't you? And
yeah, but I had it a long time ago. It's not COVID related.
Right.
Because it's something I had before COVID. It seems to be like, okay. I went to the doctor about it and they were like, oh, you came to us like a year ago for this.
Right, I see. Yeah, I see. So I would always look at, again, going back to the basics. So you mentioned diet and energy. So I would again look more closely at what you're eating and how you manage it, so how you digest it and how you feel afterwards. A lot of being a practitioner is observation, and this is the difficult thing. When you're in the situation, it's very difficult to be objective about yourself because you're always on the inside rather than the outside. So this is where a therapist becomes really the expert, because they're on the outside looking in, and they can be really analytical and they can ask you the right questions. But if you're going to do it yourself, like food diaries are a really good way to do it. And thinking about, you know, obviously, where does energy come from? Energy comes from what you eat and the foods that you eat. So looking after your gut health is a really good basic place to start. And obviously what you're putting in, so the foods that you're eating, you know, and it could be something really, really simple that's just not right for you.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Detective work.
I think I know what the detective's going to find, and I don't want it to. So I drink too much tea.
Yeah, well, actually, that's quite a good point, because tea is delicious. I love tea, and I'm a big Earl Grey tea fan as well, and green tea as well. But tea is full of tannins, which is basically what you tan leather with to make it hard, to preserve it. So if you drink excessive amounts of tea, and I don't know how much tea you drink, but I'm talking a lot, you can inhibit the way you digest your food as well. So it might be worth experimenting with for like 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, like cutting down on the tea for a bit. Oh, that makes you disapproval, doesn't it?
I know, because that's probably it, but yeah, maybe I should. Well, now I've got this alternative.
Yeah,
I'll give it.
Exactly. So yeah, so I think, it is trying things, and when you're looking at yourself, it is trial and error to a great extent. And it's kind of when I was learning to be a herbalist and so on, I remember one of my tutors saying, you never treat yourself, you're the hardest person to treat.
I understand that.
So no, I think try B vitamins, and you've got basically there's 60 capsules in there. So that's a 2-month trial period, which is a really good sort of like base to sort of see whether it's making any difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you good at taking supplement? I mean, do you remember? Or are you like me and you forget?
I sort of will go through phases. So I'll start taking them, and then I'll feel better, and then I'll stop.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I said, I don't know, it seems to be if I haven't eaten enough or something, when they make me feel sick, and then I'm in the car or something, I hate that feeling. So that puts me off a lot.
Yeah, I know. Supplements are really, really potent. So you should always take them with food. So I usually have them on the kitchen table. And then when I'm having my breakfast, I try and remember to have them with my breakfast. Because they're so concentrated, they can be quite aggravating sometimes, and that's why you feel sick. So always take them with food.
Oh, someone said that the B vitamins has helped with their migraines, which is interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Why does that make sense?
Because certain B vitamins are, well, combined together, they help with the nervous system. So they support your nervous system. So obviously migraines can be for a whole spectrum of different reasons. But if, for instance, it could be stress related, then obviously you're supporting, it's like that domino effect again. You're taking something to support one thing, and it's having a beneficial effect on the other thing as well.
That is interesting.
It is. It's exciting, isn't it? It's like a whole new world. And that's why I get so excited, because I just want to share it all with people. It's great.
Love it.
So I think, as well, while we're talking about supplements as well, it's thinking about diet. So I chose B vitamins because they're like your PA when you're feeling under pressure. But I think often when we're feeling like time poor or things are a bit manic, we often make the wrong food choices as well. And that's completely natural. We all do it. I do it as well. And suddenly I have to sort of stop and think, actually, that's not helping me. That sugar, the caffeine, whatever it is, that's not what I need right now. And generally what I notice when is that I get really grumpy, and that's my sign, that's my trigger point, where I notice when I'm getting really irritable, it's time to make some changes. So are you? Oh my
when I'm like not being kind to my digestive system, and then I'll get very irritable afterwards. So
yeah, so I suppose for you that could be one of your trigger points. So when you notice that would be a sign, okay, it's time to make some changes. So what have I been doing that I know is not beneficial to my body and my mind? So I don't know, let's say it's caffeine and sugar, so let's ditch them. Let's go for a month or 3 weeks, whatever feels manageable to you, and just swap it with something else for that period of time. Somebody else said they get so grumpy when they make rubbish food choices. I know it's probably the same for everyone, isn't it? So when we're thinking about food choices, I mean, obviously you're saying you're vegetarian, which is great because Pescatarian, flexitarian. I love that. So it's good, but you know, when you're doing the vegetarian bit, you've got all those plants that you're eating which are full of those plant chemicals which we were talking about. So all the beneficial antioxidants and the vitamins, if you're eating whole foods, so basically thinking as nature intended, then that's brilliant for supporting you. So again, it's easy to forget, isn't it? Okay, so I kind of think that we've touched quite a lot on quite a good kit of natural remedies. What about tips? I mean, what do you do, Caggie, when you're feeling overwhelmed by things? What do you do that helps you to reboot?
Well, I'm a Taurus, so I'm all about environment, and yeah, like the space that I'm in can really affect my mood. So today, for instance, like I was feeling very stressed. There's just been a lot going on, like personally and professionally, and I was just felt myself again. I had probably too much tea, and then that was like putting gasoline on the fire, and I was like, okay, this is not good. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to take myself for a walk. And I honestly think walking for me has just been a complete life, like that's something I really discovered weirdly in the pandemic, because it was the only thing I could do, and how much that helped regulate my system, and just being out in nature. And I know a lot of people like will go for a run or something like that, but for me it has to be quite slow movement. So getting out, doing either a yoga class or going and doing breath work or going for a walk is like very important. And then I like to kind of come home and set the scene. And for me, like, I can't see now, but I've got some of my Neal's Yard candles. So I'm a big fan of candles. I have candles. I light them every night. And yeah, my flat is kind of like my sacred space. And so I like to kind of wind down here. Incense, always got incense on the go. I like having some sage, and then I'll put on like, I don't know, a playlist like Beautiful Chorus or something like that. And then I have it's not on, but like this for me is probably, someone said earlier, what's my favorite Neal's Yard product? And like, I've got to say, I am quite obsessed with this. I sometimes have it on as like a bit of, I guess it's kind of like white noise, but sometimes like I like to go to sleep with it and just blend like different oils. So this is like, I guess, a diffuser. Is that what they're called?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Then, unfortunately, it's like it's too far away from the plug, but it lights up, and then you just put water in and then mix different oils. Someone said I love my diffusers. I have 3. Like honestly, this has like changed my life. And it's nice for in the evening, like when it's a bit dark, because it lights up as well. And I just find it really visually satisfying, like seeing.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It makes a little bubbly noise, doesn't it, as well, with the water.
And it just like creates like a really nice atmosphere. You can use whatever oils, you know, are appropriate for your mood, or like whatever you're going, like kind of to echo what we were just discussing. So I mean, we've got loads of oils here that I would use and that we can go through. But that for me, and then oh my god, having a bath. I'm not going to get up and go and show my bath, because I don't want the rest of the house is messy, but I have a fantastic bathroom. When I saw this flat and I saw the bath, I was like, oh, this is the space. Like, this is
my gosh.
So that for me, like, I have my Neal's Yard salts and everything, and just making that a whole thing, and with oils. I forget the question.
You're answering it completely, because I mean, you're talking about a ritual, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I'm big on rituals, and I think it's really important to carve out space for yourself, because I think we neglect ourselves first, do you know what I mean, and just prioritize everything else, and then we end up, our bodies will then force us to kind of stop by getting ill. So I think it's really crucial to actually, you know, prioritize yourself.
It is, so you don't get to that point, basically.
That point, exactly.
Yeah, because your body gives you signs, you know, grumpy or whatever it is, that's a sign that your body isn't happy. So if you don't listen to those, it's going to give you another sign, which is going to be, you know, a bit more like a little sort of kick.
Yeah.
So we got a few questions.
I think these, like, I don't know if anyone here is like struggles with their sleep. I fortunately don't, but my boyfriend does, and it's a really debilitating thing when you do. And I think these kind of products and this kind of ritual is so important, like that time before you go to bed, making sure that you're not looking at screens, maybe getting some glasses for blue light and things like that, and like reading and having a diffuser. And just, someone said that they listened to something, rain noise. There's an amazing app called Pizzazz, which like you have different people that say different stories that kind of get you to sleep.
Oh, nice. How do you spell that, Caggie?
I think it's Pizzz.
Okay.
But anyway, and someone said breath work and meditation. Like, breath work is incredible in terms of like calming down the nervous system, or actually accessing what's going on emotionally and moving it through. Because I think, again, we're so in our heads, and when something comes up, we're like, oh no, I don't want to feel that. I'll push that down with whatever thing. And that can make us ill as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same as you. We're probably a bit similar in that respect. Mine's my garden and meditation. Like, I've meditated for 20 years, morning and evening, and it's when I solve my problems. It's not always easy. It's when I solve my problems, and I just feel wrong when I don't do it. Don't feel comfortable. So I guess for everybody, it's finding what works for you, and it's recognizing that your brain likes habits, doesn't it? So the more habit and ritual you give your brain, the more comfortable it becomes with that, and it recognizes those little signals. So when you put your diffuser on, that sends a little signal to your brain that something nice is going to happen, So you light your candle, same thing. Okay. So I think we've looked at what our favorite remedies. Should we get making?
Let's get to it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's check the time. So we did this last time, didn't we? And we were blind smelling essential oils. Can you remember how it felt when we went through the essential oils and you didn't know what they were?
What do you mean, how it felt?
Like, did it feel different to knowing that you were going to smell lavender when you smelt it and didn't know what it was? Did it make you feel a different way or have a different reaction to the smell?
I think so.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that when we know what something is going to smell like, we have a preconceived idea of what it smells like and also how it makes us feel and the effect that's going to have. So when we don't know what we're smelling, we have a more genuine and honest response to it. So from here, rather than when we know, we're analysing, aren't we? We're analytical. Yeah. So what we want to do by blind smelling is have a heartfelt response to something. So it's like an honest response to an essential oil. So what we're going to start off with is blind smelling. We've only got 5 essential oils this time, you'll be pleased to hear. And we've got a little thing of coffee beans.
Yeah.
Monmouth coffee, nothing but the best for you, Caggie. Colombian. Smells rather nice, actually. Okay, so, and then you've got some smelling strips. Little white. Yes, excellent. So they're already numbered for you, 1 to 5. Mm-hmm. Do you want to find number 1 and your number 1 essential oil? And I'll answer while you're finding. Got it. Yeah, perfect. How can I, oh, sorry, I can't, my eyesight is terrible. I bought Rose Otto Essential in Tunbridge Wells shop. I was totally taken by the scent, but it's so expensive. How can I use it to the best? That's a really good question because, sorry, my other half is just crawling on the floor.
Real subtle.
I don't know what he was doing. So yeah, anyway. He's just not a dog. So yeah, Rose Otto is a beautiful essential oil, but it is really expensive. But I would say you don't need very much. So I would blend it into something. So putting it into, like, we sell brilliant Create products. So you could make it into a bath oil or a foaming hair and body wash or something like that. And if you're going to use it on the diffuser, just one drop, because it's really potent, really, really potent, but it's beautiful. Okay, right, Caggie, number one. So do you want to put a little drop of number one on your smelling strip?
Yes.
And then have a little, it's quite nice to sometimes close your eyes and smell, because it shuts off your other senses. And then in your notebook, you can just jot down or just say how it makes you feel, whatever works for you.
Okay.
And I shouldn't do anything because I can influence you as well.
I won't look at you.
Okay, while you're prepping that, I'm going to see any tips for getting the last essential oil out. Yeah, so that's a really, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's a little bit naughty. If you take out, you've got your dispenser in the essential oil, you can take it out and it dispenses an exact size drop for safety. And you can actually just cut the end off and it dispenses the last little bits of your essential oil out. So it's a really nice little way to get everything out of your essential oil. Okay, how did it make you feel, Caggie?
Lively.
Is that good?
Yeah.
It is, because you were saying you were tired. So we're trying not to guess what they are for everybody watching. We're trying not to guess what they are, because then we're putting our brain into gear. And it's almost like we're trying to remove our brain from the equation and actually just think with our heart instead. It's really nice, isn't it? Sorry, Const, you've caught hilarity. Crawling around. Okay. So if you jot down how that makes you feel, and you can put a love heart or a happy face, you know, just anything that shows whether that's an oil that you potentially want to use in your blend when we make the pulse point rollerball. Okay. And then we can do the same thing with number two as well.
I need the coffee.
Yeah, coffee is really nice to just sort of, it's like it's something to cleanse your palate, but it's sort of rebooting your nose. You don't have to use coffee. You can actually just smell the crook of your elbow, which is obviously much more portable, or you can smell your jumper if you've got a jumper on or something like that. But coffee works really, really well. What do you think to that one, Caggie?
There's definitely like a lot of similarities. It's just softer.
Is it ticking your boxes?
It is, yeah.
It's funny because when I thought which essential oils we were going to do, I knew which ones you'd loved from last time, but I wanted to put in different ones. So again, I was just trying to put myself in your head, but I've put in a couple that to sort of see they're experimental. So that is soft. I would agree with you, that's softer. We're going to reveal what they are afterwards, don't worry. But I really want sort of Caggie to choose without knowing what they are. Okay, and then number three. This one might be a little bit slower to come out the bottle. Oh no, maybe not. How's your nose doing? Are things smelling right to you?
Oh, what, because of post-COVID? Yeah, they actually are. Well, I think they are. They might be smelling totally different to you.
It's funny, actually. I remember when I used to go training in different countries, and I went to Arizona once, And essential oils that I loved in the UK, I couldn't bear in Arizona. And ones that I was a bit ambivalent about over here, I absolutely loved in Arizona. So it's dependent on so many different things, like even climate. How's that one making you feel?
I love this one.
You know what it is, don't you? Yeah, I knew you liked that one, I have to say. I did put that one in especially for you. Okay, and then number 4. What do you love? Sorry, about number 3, you say you love it. Why do you love it? What does it like? What does it do for you?
I don't know. It's very familiar, romantic, and grounding.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's what I wear that just as a perfume.
Yeah, no, it is really nice. That's why I put it in your tea for you as well, because I thought, well, I'm going to get you to drink it as well. Somebody's guessing here. They might be right. So right. Holly, you've got a good intuition there. Okay, so this one is slightly different. So you've got some lovely comments here, Caggie, going on for you. Romantic. So Holly she's good. She's a detective. Romantic gave me an inclination to rose. Somebody else is saying they could tell from the color. Yeah, it's really, really distinctive, the color of rose. Okay, so number 4.
That is a bit different.
Yeah. Is it working for you, or is it?
It kind of reminds me of hospitals.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
That's really strange.
It reminds me of something that you get at hospitals, or
I kind of know what you mean. See, we're so easily influenced, because before you said that, I was thinking I'm really loving this today. And then as soon as you said hospitals, it really changed how I felt about it. It's fine, it's fine. So we are really...
Yeah, now it's like I'm getting a bit more used to it, but...
It is, I have to say, it is a little bit Marmite. It does cause divided opinions. And even myself, today I'm really loving it, but that could be for any reason. So that's a big question mark, is it? We can come back and smell them again as well when they've sort of settled down a little bit. Okay, so number 5. So Karen's having a good guess now. Geranium, no. I'm not going to say yet, because it's one you'll definitely know. No, frankincense has never been the same smell since COVID. Oh no, I love frankincense, and it totally disappeared during it. Very strange.
Yeah, just to say on that, I had COVID like months ago, and I then, like months after having it, when I recovered, suddenly one day my smell, I was explaining this to Tipper when we had a call the other day, like my smell just literally changed in an instant, and everything started smelling different, and some things just haven't gone back.
Yeah. So Caggie told me this, and I'd already sent you the essential oils in the post, hadn't I? And in my head I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So Terry is using her good detective skills as well. Love this. And Nikki, wait a minute, no, it was Holly before, wasn't it? I love this. So we've obviously got some psychic people on there. You shouldn't be looking.
Sorry. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, so this was the wild card. I was like, because I love this blended with the other ones that we've got here.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to risk it. I know this probably isn't Caggie's cup of tea normally, but I'm going to risk putting it in. And I thought I'd see how you felt and then get you to try smelling it with some of the other ones that you like and trying them together. But what's number 5? When you say interesting, what kind of interesting? Good, bad, indifferent?
I don't dislike it. It's quite masculine. So I think, you know, depending on like what kind of mood, but maybe that combining that with the rose, I don't know, would be quite a nice like balancing energy.
Yes, that's exactly where my mind was going. So when we get to blending, you would want to use much less of number 5, because number 5 is what I would call an essential oil, very lovely bully, but it will take over. So if you choose rose, for instance, to go in your blend, which is number 3, then number 5 goes lovely with it, but just a hint of, just a tiny little hint of.
I want to know what they are now.
Okay, right. Okay,
or do I want to blend them? Do I want to pick what I'm blending first?
Oh, sorry. Good. Yeah, you're on the ball, aren't you? Yeah, please.
Okay, and am I actually putting them in this?
So just select which ones you want to use first, and then
how many am I going to use? How many?
Yeah, you can use all 5 if you want. It's up to you.
I probably use 5, 3, and 2.
So 5, 3, and 2. Okay. So, that's a really nice combo. That is a really, really nice combo. Okay, so number 1, which you discounted, is actually grapefruit.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's got that same, like you were saying, you felt that number 2 was softer. Grapefruit is quite clean and fresh, you know, thinking you have a grapefruit for breakfast. Citrus oil. So I started with the lightest oils first. We started with citrus and then worked down. So top notes to start off with, which citrus, and then work down to base notes. So grapefruit is energizing, and you wrote down uplifting or lifting.
I wrote alive, lively, awake, energizing.
Yeah, so your nose was absolutely spot on. So really good one for sort of like waking you up if you're feeling like you're sort of fatigued, giving you a little bit more energy, that kind of thing. But it's also really clean as well. And the nice thing is with citrus oils is they're all really positive as well. So a lot of the people earlier on, when you were asking how people were feeling, they were like, oh, I just feel exhausted, you know, really tired, things like that. So citrus oils are a really nice way to give you that little pick me up. And most people like citrus oils as well. So number 2, which you chose, what did you write?
Safe. Soft.
Safe. Yeah, nice. Sweet orange. So it's kind of like, we smelt, the first time we did this, we smelt mandarin, so I wanted to mix it up a little bit.
I couldn't tell mandarin,
yeah, exactly. You really like that. So sweet orange is, again, it's sun. I mean, I always think, you know, oranges bask in the Mediterranean sunshine. So they kind of pick up those sunny vibes. And then when you smell it, it's like they give it back to you. So they're sort of presenting you back their positivity, which is really nice. So that's a lovely one. So again, if you're feeling low mood or energy, orange is a really nice one. You chose 3. Come on, Caggie, what is it?
Rose.
Yes. So it's Rose Absolute. And weirdly, we sent you some products recently, didn't we? And there was a Rose Absolute in there.
I haven't actually, no, have I used it? I haven't used it yet.
Okay, well, that's fine. You have 2 bottles now, which is even better.
No, lucky me.
So Holly was absolutely spot on with the rose. So everything you said was spot on about rose. You put, what did you remind me? You said romance,
familiar, grounding.
Yeah. So rose is like summer, isn't it? It's, you know, that's why it's you. When I think about summer, I think about rose gardens and floral smells and things like that. Rose is really good for balance as well. So if you're feeling up and down, and again, this could be like for women, for monthly cycles, if you're feeling up and down, rose is a really nice essential oil to help sort of create a little bit more harmony. And it's in our Women's Balance, which I think you like, don't you? Our Women's Balance.
Love Women's Balance, yeah.
So that's the key essential oil in there. And it is grounding because it's quite deep as well. Rose Otto, that somebody mentioned before, is much lighter, whereas Rose Absolute has got that sort of more earthiness about it. So number 4 was another no for you. This was the hospital smell. So this is Ylang Ylang.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought I used to like that. Maybe that's my COVID smell.
Yeah, I thought you'd like it, but it was a bit of a risk.
I think I used to always like that because I remember I'd always go into like places and get that out and love it. So I think that's one of the ones that's changed from COVID.
But it's weird.
I've never thought of Ylang Ylang smelling like hospitals before.
No, but as soon as you said it, do you remember germaline, that pink stuff you used to put on your like cuts and grazes and things?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, as soon as you said it, I smelled germaline.
That's what it is. Yeah, so I've ruined it for you.
I know, exactly. We've just ruined it for everybody else watching, haven't we? I love Ylang Ylang. I have to say that normally when I'm not with you.
How interesting.
So Ylang Ylang is another one. It's quite exotic. It does have an intensely floral fragrance. Some people it's a little bit too much, but it is spicy as well. It's got that sort of exotic spiciness about it as well. And it's another really good one for helping to bring you down. So I don't mean down as in mood, if you're feeling stressed, to calm you down. So it's often used in yoga when you meditate at the end and things like that. So it's really good for sort of calm you down. But also, weirdly, when I used to train and we had a really quiet group, I'd put Ylang Ylang on the burner because it's really good at releasing inhibitions. So yeah, which hence its reputation as an aphrodisiac. But it's, you know, when you put it on the burner, the diffuser, you could see the room change and people would start asking questions and get more engaged. Yeah, it is fun, isn't it? So that's Ylang Ylang. Maybe you'll smell it differently now when you smell it again.
I still smell a bit hospitally.
Okay, and then number 5, the wild card, is cardamom. So I love the suggestions because I was going to put you sandalwood in and we did vetiver last time. So I went for something spicy because cardamom blends, I think, so well with rose. So well. Like black pepper and rose. They're really sort of classic combinations, aren't they?
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So cardamom is really good for clarity, which is probably why you liked it, because you were feeling a bit sort of coldy. Cardamom is all about clarity and focus and things like that. So it's a really nice one. The rose and cardamom cakes.
Oh, yeah, now I can totally see it. So I love a cardamom bun.
Yeah, that's what somebody's just saying, rose and cardamom cakes. So Marie, yes, we're recording this as well. So we'll put this up afterwards and you can always catch up on the bits you've missed. Okay, so Caggie, you have chosen 2, 3 and 5. Okay, so out of those, I mentioned essential oil bullies, the lovely friendly bullies. So number 5 is the one that can potentially overpower your blend here. And rose is also really strong as well, but you love it. So that's really good. Orange is definitely the lightest. So we need to consider that when you're creating your blend. Just consider that the orange will be overpowered potentially by the orange and the cardamom.
Okay. What about, I'm having a slight change of heart. What about, I'm thinking maybe swapping the orange and the Ylang Ylang.
Go for it, or put them both in if you want.
Let's put them both in, yeah.
You could start blending with one or the other and then add. We're going to put in, so people don't know what we're making, do they?
No.
Oh God, terrible host, sorry. So we're making a remedy to roll or a pulse point rollerball. Yeah. So obviously, you know, we sell different ones in store. Like I put you in a relaxation remedy to roll, didn't I? Because I thought you'd like that one. And I really like the meditation one because it's really woody. But they're really nice to make for yourself, and they make really beautiful little gifts specific to that person. So Pulse Point Rollerball, we're going to put in a stronger dilution of essential oils than we would normally if we were going to make a bath product or something. So we're going to put up to 8%. And the only reason we can do that is because we're using it on a tiny area of skin. So pulse points, so wrists, behind your ears, wherever they are, wherever your pulse points can be found. So normally the maximum you blend up to is 2% or 2.5%, so it's much higher. So maths is not my forte, so I've done the maths already for you. It's up to 16 drops.
Great.
So grab your grapeseed oil. We're using grapeseed oil because it doesn't have a scent, so it's not going to battle with the essential oils. And we want to put about 8 mils of grapeseed oil in our little remedy to roll, in our beaker, so just under the 10 mark. We can always top it up afterwards.
Okay.
So we're just using a little scientific beaker. You can use anything as long as it's got a little spout, simply because the hole in the remedies to roll, in the rollerball, sorry, is too small to blend into. So it's just easier. So we're using grapeseed oil as our base. And then maybe, Caggie, we can go up to 16 drops, and keep a note of how many drops you add in, so in case you want to recreate it.
Okay.
And then maybe just start by adding 1 drop of each and see how that smells.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to blend as well. I'm going to make one for my mum because these are the kind of smells that she loves as well. But I'm going to put them all in. I'm going all in. Oops. And some of the essential oils come out much faster than others. So rose is quite slow. The citrus oils tend to be faster. And if you ever have problems getting them out like I am now, usually if you just sort of twiddle them round, they work. But if they don't, I always go for a little sort of tap on the bottom. And then, whoops, yeah, they definitely work then. Okay. It's like that moment of concentration, isn't it?
That cardamom is powerful.
It is, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
So what have you put in so far? Have you just put in 1 drop of each, or have you put in more?
I put in like 2 drops of each.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm doing as well. Is there a general rule which notes work with others? That's a really good question. So while you're blending, Caggie, I'm just going to answer that one. So there are rules and there aren't rules, to be really ambiguous. But certain types of essential oils work really well together. So for instance, florals with spices work really well together. So like the rose and the cardamom, or the rose and the black pepper. And even if you think about the Ylang Ylang, Ylang Ylang is floral with spicy notes in it as well. Citrus oils tend to blend really well with anything. So you could blend them with woods, florals, herbaceous sort of smelling ones like geranium or lavender, and they work really, really well. I always like to blend, if I can, not always, with top, middle and base notes. So top notes are really light. So they're like when you put a fragrance on, it's like your introduction, the smell you smell first. And they tend to be things like citrus oils. Middle notes tend to be very herby. So they could be things like lavender, geranium, rosemary, things like that. And they're like the heart of your blend. And then base notes tend to be woods and roots. So they're very strengthening and grounding, and they build up your sort of resilience. I like to try and blend a top, middle and base note together, but you don't have to. It's just a little thing that I've sort of developed over the year. So, you know, what works for you is what works for you. So I would say, even if you know what your essential oils are at home, do what myself and Caggie have done and blind smell them and listen with your heart. And that will tell you, I pretty much will guarantee you that you'll choose the essential oils that are right for you today. So I would try that. Does that help? Okay. So how's your blend going, Caggie?
Yeah, it's really nice. I just sort of cheated a little bit because you sent me those other oils. I was curious to try it. How do you pronounce patchouli?
Patchouli, yeah.
Which, because I'm pretty sure I asked you for that, but maybe I don't know whether it's the COVID, but it's very smoky.
Yeah, so patchouli is a really good example of a base note. So it's very sort of demanding, very heavy. It's another Marmite one. It sort of creates divided opinions. So, for instance, my other half, he can't bear patchouli and he will smell it like a bloodhound if I'm wearing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like it.
Yeah, but it might blend well with something. It does tend to go really nicely with things like rose. But again, you might just put in one drop. It's a pleasure. So are you adding other different ones into your actual blend now, Caggie, as well? Might be quite nice. It's all right. There's no rules.
Can't help but go off piste. No, I really like what I've got. I feel like it's got a nice balance. Nothing's like particularly dominating more than anything else.
Do you know how many drops you put in total? Did you keep a tally?
I put 4 drops of rose.
Yeah.
I put 2 of cardamom, and then I put 3 of
orange,
and then I just put 1 of patchouli.
So you've got another 6 drops to play with if you want. It's up to you. What you can do is, I gave you this little glass stirrer thingy.
Yeah.
You can just take a little bit of your blend and just pop it on your pulse points and just see how it smells. Oh, actually, that's really nice. I didn't even get round to putting number 5 in. Oh, yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably have a little bit more.
Okay, so while you're just perfecting your blend, we've got 10 minutes left. So, Caggie, what's your favourite Neal's Yard Remedies product? Can you multitask if this is a test?
I mean, I like in the oils, I do love the rose. That is like one that I've always adored and always like to have around with me, and I'll just wear that as like a perfume. But then the diffuser is kind of incredible. Having that and then combining different oils with that is a really nice.
Yeah.
And then Woman's Balance is kind of a everyone.
Yeah, no, it's a really nice, it covers all your bases, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what herbs were featured at the start? So that was the tea, which was rose, lemon balm, lime flower, lavender and chamomile. So, okay, which recipes would you recommend start with? Actually, I should have brought the book down. So maybe Jasmine or Kalila, can you put a link to the Neal's Yard Remedies essential oil book and the make your own book as well? Because when you're starting off, it's quite nice to follow a recipe or get inspiration from a book. And then as your confidence grows, you can just start tweaking things. So the other thing you can do as well is go into one of our stores and get them to do this with you. So do an aroma balance in one of our stores with the staff. They'll love doing it with you because it's really good fun. And then you can choose your essential oils and they can even help you blend it in store as well if you want. I love the brute force there.
Sorry.
Was that Rose?
Yeah, being very difficult.
Okay. So with things like chronic fatigue, I would definitely recommend going to see a therapist because there are so many things that can be triggers or that can be helpful. And I think you would definitely benefit from seeing a professional, not a GP. I would go and see a herbalist or a nutritionist or somebody that's has a natural health background. And then somebody else has said, I heard that you should not use a diffuser for longer than 20 minutes at a time. It could be too overpowering for the system. No, you don't need to. The only thing you need to be careful with a diffuser is if you've got cats, and make sure that you've got a window or some ventilation so the animal can escape if they want to leave the room. Cats don't break down essential oils the same way that other animals do, so you just need to be safe with them. Oh, I love that. You're going to be like imbibed with your remedy to roll. So I'm just thinking of time, Caggie. So do you want to put it in your rollerball?
Yeah.
So just be careful in case you've just put a little bit too much oil in. So just go slowly. Perfect. It's so much easier, isn't it?
I love it. It's so much easier.
I know. And then you've got your little rollerball bit. Yay.
I
So
love
there
it.
you've got your perfect pocket. Yeah, you've got perfect pocket remedy.
But
what marks are you going to give yourself out of 10 there?
Well, I think it's something that you can, perfect.
Yeah. This is the whole point, isn't it? Is that you've created a base blend and you can go back and tweak it the next time. So you can buy the little rollerball things online and just think, okay, well, I put too much cardamom in this time, or maybe I want to try black pepper. And you can create your own personal little blend, which is lovely. So, yeah, so somebody else, one last question, and then we'd better finish up, hadn't we? Somebody is asking if you can mix the essential oils in a diffuser. So yes, absolutely. Caggie, what's your favorite blend in the diffuser? Let's tell Sam.
I'm aware that it's expensive, but I do like putting rose in it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And a little goes a long way.
It does.
Also, lavender's amazing.
Exactly. But yes, you can mix and match. So for instance, if Caggie loved her blend that she's created today, she could think, okay, I'm going to put that on my diffuser and just put obviously much less. So she might put 1 drop of each essential oil on her diffuser, and that would be plenty.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I think we're pretty much finished, Caggie.